It's just spiteful tittle-tattle and disrespect. The royals have nothing to fear from Meghan's new disaster. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the King YouTube channel. There are always stories making the rounds claiming that Meghan's going to publish a book. And now she did hint in that cut interview that she had more to say even than she said on Oprah, and that she never signed an NDA. So I guess Meghan figures that she can make a whole lot of money for herself by claiming the royal family is racist. But if she goes and announces that to the whole world, how is it going to make her look? Now, maybe she won over some people playing the poor, beleaguered black girl, but that's really a position that Meghan cannot hold on to, thanks to all her blatant, spiteful tittle-tattle, and also the way she disrespected the late Queen. Finding Freedom already covered the time that Meghan spent at Kensington Palace, and the employees said enough about the shenanigans through Valentine Lowe's book courtiers. One question I have is exactly how much time did she even spend with William and Catherine? And let's forget about other members of the family. We already know that the family does not interact like a normal family would. Everything is performed through personal secretaries and diaries. The idea that somehow Meghan Markle had the Queen on speed dial is ridiculous. And even though it upset Harry to no end, her PPS managed to block his calls and prevent a personal discussion or meeting until Sandringham Summit happened. Meghan also was banned from that meeting, so anything that she claims is absolute hearsay. It's similar to Harry's report of the misunderstood conversation about what his kids might look like. So I want to go with Lady C's interpretation of the whole race issue. Princess Anne pointed out the collision of two cultures not being sustainable, and she was talking about what the impact of that would look like for any kids. Let's keep in mind the cultural collision of his parents and the subsequent divorce, but anyway, that's a little off topic. When the Queen was still living, Meghan was always very careful to excuse her from any criticism. So now that the late Queen has passed away, is Meghan Markle going to feel free to stab her in the back? And if not the late Queen, then perhaps the current Queen? Well, that would be a very big mistake on her part. King Charles has always cared about protecting Camilla, and he fought so hard for her to be accepted by his family and also the public at large. He's been putting up with Harry's attempts to throw her under the bus for supposedly sacrificing him on the altar of PR, but I don't believe Meghan would do as well. So, what is the dirt that she has on the king? Now, H.G. Tudor often says that he's a narcissist, but he's not the same as Meghan. He doesn't have to be grandiose, after all, he is the king. But still, he does seek validation and admiration a lot, and Meghan apparently recognized that, and she knew how to play into it. And he doesn't like making choices where he's going to be unpopular with whomever he sides against. Now, he's able to fire people when he thinks they have disappointed him, and he can be really stubborn sometimes, but I don't see how he would have done anything to Meghan directly that she could really use against him. Maybe she's going to claim that he was so cruel and cold-hearted for telling her not to come to Balmoral when she was just a daughter-in-law, and we all know she just wanted to go there and get her photo taken. Meghan and Harry have both said bad things about the institution of the monarchy, and Harry really went after the fly, the bee, and the wasp. He described them as being Machiavellian, which actually would mean that they're more impressive narcissists than Meghan is. These are men, though, that you do not want to cross, even though Harry tried to mess with the late Queen's parliamentary private secretary in that whole protection saga. But he especially does not need to go after King Charles's parliamentary private secretary, Sir Clive Alderton, aka the Wasp. Buckingham Palace leaks a lot if they want to, and they would probably want to get their story out first if they expect there's going to be trouble ahead. Think about that bullying report that the Queen had put in a vault. It could resurface. But the main target of Meghan's complaints is, of course, William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales. So if Meghan really does write a book, is she going to devote an entire chapter or maybe even 2 chapters to ripped jeans and going around barefoot, roasting chickens, and how uncomfortable she was with the whole formality of Catherine? Or is she going to criticize Catherine for making a face when she shared her lip gloss with her? Or is she going to talk about Catherine having baby brain, maybe? Is she going to talk about how they dress for dinner? Is she going to devote 3 chapters to baggy bridesmaids' dresses, tights or no tights, and how precisely Catherine made her cry, that one single tear from her left eye? A narcissist is not opposed to using the truth if it's going to benefit them. So maybe Meghan's going to talk about being slapped down for volunteering to take over all kinds of things with her pure genius and her insider knowledge. Maybe she's going to talk about all those people who told her that her outfits are completely inappropriate for the occasions. Or she's going to talk about how unfair it was that she had to give back all that free stuff. Or is she going to talk about how wrong it is that she was offered freebies in the first place? I mean, who knows when it comes to this one? And if the truth won't really help her, then don't worry, she'll just make something up. She'll devote several problems to her mental health. She'll talk about being trapped in a situation where she didn't have any control and how painful that was for her. We're not going to really hear about depression, I don't think so. Instead, I think she'll talk about how frustrated she was that people just didn't listen to her and do things her way. Is she going to tell about the night that she told Harry she wanted to end it all, and then later on they went to the Royal Albert Hall to watch Cirque du Soleil? I mean, Harry's face is the picture of misery. Well, her face is a Cheshire Cat grin. But you know, she's going to come up with some kind of dirt that she's going to promise to dish, and that way she'll secure herself a multi-book advance deal. All right, guys, now time to talk about some of your opinions. Let's talk about some of the comments that you left in the latest video. King Charles showed how tough he was when he spurned his rogue son, Harry. Your comments were excellent as always, so let's talk about some of my favorites. First up, a comment from Kitty Fan. Harry is many things, but sadly, adult is not one of them. He's certainly not an adult, Kitty. Will he ever grow up? Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't hold my breath. And then Grace, oh, Harry, you too must follow the rules. Kudos to King Charles III. Harry doesn't believe in rules, don't you know? He married Meghan Markle. And then we've got Adeline. Hope Charles will stay firm. Me too. I mean, he is staying pretty firm so far. Let's hope that this continues and he doesn't give in to their ridiculous demands. And then we've got user ET2. I'm so glad the royal family has completely cut contact with Harry and Meghan. This isn't going to change while Harry is married to Meghan. I will never forget that disgusting curtsy by Meghan mocking the late queen and everything she represented. I completely agree with you. I don't think they're going to give in to the two of them anytime soon. I mean, not after everything that's happened, including that curtsy. I agree with you. That has to be one of the most disrespectful things I have ever witnessed. Next comment, I'm not really sure how to pronounce the username, but it's Agam something. Harry would have filmed the whole Windsor Castle for Netflix documentary. Thank God the royal family is wiser than Harry. God save the king. He would have. I mean, if Harry thought it would make him a quick buck, he would film absolutely anything. It doesn't matter how private it is to his family. And then Kitty Fan, well, yeah, Harry did. At least the Carlisle Hotel in New York City. Harry was warned at least 6 months ago that he had to give 28 days of warning before he could visit the UK and have security and a place to stay. Harry showed up in the UK 2 days later and stayed with friends. Well, that sounds about right. He was probably testing his family, and I'm glad they stood up to him. I'm glad the palace did not just give him a place to stay last minute. It's about time that Harry was expected to follow some basic rules. Next comment comes from Vicky. What I really don't understand is why Megs is so hellbent on disparaging the royal family and destroying everything Harry holds and held dear when the title means so much to her. Inevitably, they are going to be stripped of those titles, and then what will she do? They will then have nothing. She will even have less and fall off our radar. She will drop Harry like a hot potato, and he will then have to crawl across the ocean looking for his family to help him. You're right, Vicky. What is she going to do? See, I don't believe that Meghan Markle is capable of really thinking ahead. Now, Meghan Markle is a planner, and she can be pretty cunning when she wants to be, but still, I agree with you. It doesn't make sense for her to go after Harry's family this way when she needs those titles in order to stay relevant. And then Jan says, because the Queen kicked her out of England and she was so pissed, she did the Oprah interview and never stopped. It is obvious that Meghan Markle has no plans of stopping until she's good and ready. She doesn't care that nobody wants to hear what she has to say. She's just going to keep on running that mouth of hers. And then Dawn says, love it regarding Meghan may fall off the radar, but her own radar will be looking for another man. Who would be one who is highly titled, a very rich, wealthy man? Well, that's if she can find one that may have her. Blessing to whoever who it may be. Yeah, you're right, Dawn. I'm sure she's already on the hunt, but is she going to succeed? I don't think so. I mean, maybe she's going to find somebody, but I think he would have to be very, very, very old or just very out of touch. Maybe somebody with dementia who doesn't know what's going on. But even in that case, I would hope that that man would have family protecting him. I don't know. Let's just watch and see what happens, I guess. Next, a comment from Apples Oranges. Some say we want proof with DNA to see if the children are Harry and Meghan's. It will be a positive result if her eggs and his sperm was used. The lawyer should ask her to release part of her medical files. The pregnancies, scan results, midwife appointment, and her giving birth should be in her files. No one has come forward, but we do know she was not at the Portland on the night they said. Apples and Oranges, I think this is an excellent comment. This is very important. It's not all about the DNA. You're right. In order for those kids to have a right to be in the line of succession, they should have been born from her body. And I agree with you, there's no way that happened. And then a user Veronica basically says the same thing. She has to have given birth herself for any child to be relevant. It's true. And then Apples and Oranges responds, exactly. Those children, if she has them in her care, are not entitled to those titles. I'm from the UK and not happy that this is being ignored. I am thinking the royal family are waiting for them to dig that hole deeper. It could be Apples and Oranges. I mean, it really could be that they're just waiting for Meghan and Harry to destroy their own lives, as if they haven't already. Honestly, I don't know what they're waiting for, though. I mean, how much lower can those two go? I also like this comment from Kitty Fan about Diana. Diana played the Paps almost well. She had phoned them the night she died and told them she would be at the Ritz in Paris. And Apples and Oranges confirms that's the same as I heard many years back. Afraid so, all the best to you anyways. Gordon Smith, she certainly tipped off the media before venturing out on her famous night visits to shelters for the homeless and AIDS hospices. If you find this impossible to believe, why were there always photographers waiting when she arrived to say, how did you know I'd be here? And then somebody says, yes, that was her destiny. It's true. Diana was famous for calling up the Paps to let them know where she would be. But honestly, friends, I don't even want to talk about whether that was right or wrong. Diana has been gone a long time now, and I think it's important that everybody honor her memory. I think you guys all do a great job of sticking to the facts about what Diana did or did not do. And I really like that usually on this channel, nobody goes after her character, because let's be real, she's not here to stand up for herself. I'm glad that it seems like everybody agrees with me that Diana was a lovely individual. She had her flaws, and we can leave it at that. And a comment from Tanya, I understand he's not the Harry anymore whom we knew, and he is mature enough to see that, but in my humble opinion, it's 90% Meghan who tells him what to do and what to say. I never saw a groom so desperate to run away from his own wedding day, and she's looking like a cat with whipped cream in a bowl. It must be a hell of a secret she knows about him, royal family, or both. Maybe he's gay. I would not be surprised by that, but that's not a thing to be ashamed of. Also not in royal circles, I may hope. Tanya, I am inclined to agree with you. I do think Meghan Markle is a big part of the reason why Harry's turned into such a horrible person. I mean, maybe we were fooled to some extent, but still, I agree with you that Meghan Markle has really encouraged him to turn on his family. The final comment that I want to share with you all comes from Paula, and it's not a short comment, so just bear with me while I read it out loud for everybody. Paula says, question, did Harry really think he would live the high life on the public purse like his great-uncle David did? His great-uncle David had been king no matter how briefly until he advocated the throne to Mary Wallis. So when David abdicated, he lost his place in the line of succession for himself and any offspring. He had also worked out a deal to receive a yearly stipend and a title. Queen Elizabeth II's father and Queen Elizabeth II herself used the amount of the stipend to keep David and Wallis in line. I think, but don't know 100%, but I think part of the agreement was David and Wallis could not come back to the UK without prior approval. I do know the Queen Mum didn't like Wallis, especially because she caused David to turn his back on crown, country, and family. When it came out that Wallis was a Nazi sympathizer, that didn't go over well with the royal family or the country. David and Wallis were non-working royals with a title and a stipend. I wonder if Harry and Meghan Markle thought they could do the same. In my opinion, when Harry and Meghan walked away from royal life, then Harry should have signed a paper removing himself and any offspring from the line of succession. In my opinion, Harry and Meghan Markle are worse than David and Wallis. Shaking my head. Daily history lesson over. LOL. Thank you. P.S. This topic gets me so frustrated and mad about his treatment of his family that I have a difficult time adding farm talk right now. Farm talk another day. Thank you so much for this nice little history lesson, Paula. And I agree with you. Harry and Meghan absolutely are worse than David and Wallis, because at least David and Wallis lived their lives. They were not so fixated on this family they left behind that they had to keep attacking the family day after day after day in the media. Honestly, by the end of his life, I'm sure that David felt ashamed for what he did. Now, I believe that Wallis was probably a narcissist like Meghan. I don't think she ever felt ashamed. But still, at least Wallis didn't spend all day every day trying to come up with new ways to attack the royal family. Once they were gone, and that was it. And don't worry about the farm talk, Paula. I'll look forward to that another day. I'm like you. Sometimes I get myself so upset just thinking about everything Harry and Meghan have done. Thanks again, though, Paula, for your very informative comment. All right, folks, that's all the time that we've got. So I want to say thank you so much for all the comments that you have been leaving. In this video, if you have any thoughts, please don't hesitate to leave them below and we can talk about your opinions in the next videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to our The King YouTube channel to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely evening and we'll be back to see you tomorrow. Bye. I love you all.